G'day, Justin Morris from Mind Matters Athlete Coaching here again, and we're doing another episode of the No Baloney Bike Advice. Now this month we're going to be delving into an absolute minefield of baloney, and that is the cycling clothing industry. Have a look at all this junk you've got to choose from in cycling clothes these days. It's an absolute, like I said, minefield. Now, because there's so much to talk about, we're going to split this into two different episodes. Today, we're just going to focus on below the waist, so from here down, the engine room of cyclists for pushing those pedals. This is where the big guns are, so we're going to take care of them. And these clothes do play a role in that part of our job. Now, first things first, we start at the bottom, our feet, which is an important part of the cycling experience. Your feet is a part of the body that's constantly going to be, your legs are going to be pulling around and around. So like on the bike, how we spoke about the importance of rotating weight, your feet is an extension of that rotating weight. So having very light weight, keeping the weight down in the foot department is quite important if performance is a goal of yours in cycling. Subsequently, lightweight shoes is a sensible option to choose. If your shoes are nice and light, that means that you're reducing the amount of weight you can pull around. Now, we could do an entire episode on shoes themselves, but probably one of the biggest developments on the past few years is a type of ratcheting system that has come into play. For a long time, the traditional style was a ratchet like this, where you can tighten it just by little clicks. Now most shoes have opted for this boa dial, which you can turn in and out, which actually pulls the shoe in around your foot. Now another thing that's come up recently, and this is absolute baloney, so we're going to mark this as a big baloney on your bicycle shopping experience, is lace up cycling shoes. You're not going to school when you're going to clip into a bike. Well, you might be, but that's a different story altogether. Now, being an extreme part of the body, the extremities, mainly the fingers and the toes, they're not doing a whole lot when you're cycling. So if you're riding in cold conditions, you've got to look after those parts of your body. Your toes especially can get ridiculously cold, and the colder they are, that can cause pain. And any pain you're experiencing that isn't associated to the power you're putting through the pedals is taking energy away from you that could be devoted to putting more power into the pedals. So it's important to pay attention to keeping those footsies warm whilst you're riding in cold conditions. Merino socks go a long way. Good wool socks, they provide a bit more insulation but still let you breathe when you do start to get a bit warm. But a big important thing is boot covers. These big neoprene dogs are good if it's snowing or raining. That's going to keep pretty much everything out of your shoe. Another option, and these things, you can pay a fortune, and keep in mind a lot of these clothing companies, they're having a hard go to get to your hard-earned coin. Now some of these things, like these shoe covers, you'll see them in shops and it can be $40, $50, $60. They're the same as a footy sock. Cut a hole in the bottom of your old footy socks and slide them over your shoes. Going to be better than nothing. Not as good as those big neoprene dogs, but some kind of extra insulation for your shoes is going to go a long way. Alright, shoes and socks, that's pretty much covered. Next thing up, the legs. One of my first coaches I ever had some wise advice for me. He said, a tradesman must always look after his tools. As a cyclist, your tools are your legs. These are doing the bulk of your work. These things are your absolute engine room. So if you're riding in cold conditions, the old rule used to be if it was 20 degrees or below, you had these things covered up, because the colder they are, the more prone they are to injury. So the things you can use to keep the legs covered, this is your most basic and straightforward option. Leg warmers, you just slide them on before you put your shorts on, and they turn your shorts into long pants. But the disadvantage of leg warmers is they're good to hear, but you don't want the other engine room getting freezing cold whilst you're riding along. So there's another option that's better, especially during training, and that is a full length bib. That means you're getting the fleecy, nice warmth material that the leg warmer's giving you, but you're getting full coverage for the whole kit and caboodle from the waist down. Full length bibs, great option, not baloney. Full length bibs, especially in winter time. If you live anywhere south of, say, Sydney, full length bibs are a great investment for you. But come race day, or say you've got an FTP test to do outside, or some kind of really intense training session, keeping those legs covered up the whole time may not be the best idea. There is another option, and this is fresh from the streets of Belgium or the south coast here in Australia, racing in winter time. These two bad boys that you can get from the chemist for next to nothing, this is like liquid leg warmers. Slap on the deep heat Denko rub that into those muscles. You'll feel that eucalyptic sensation awakening all those muscles. It's kind of like a warm-up without having to do anything, rubbing that in, and then over the top the goanna oil. That's like your waterproof cover for your legs. If it's mild temperatures, but not too hot, not too cold, thigh warmers it's a bit of baloney. But in training, if you're recovering from, say, a hard session the day before, a bit of compression, this pushes the muscles in a bit, helps those muscles recover a bit. But a bit of baloney, but not too bad either way. The last little piece we're going to talk about today is shorts instead of bibs. Some clowns ride around with just the shorts. So you can buy very, very cheap cycling shorts that don't have the shoulder straps. Steer clear of these. Not a good idea. Male or female, you want to have the shoulder straps. If you're riding for any more than, say, 60 minutes, shoulder straps just adds a huge level of comfort and just enables your legs to actually turn properly, and you're not going to be getting wedgie, or someone's not going to dack you while you're riding along. You want to have the bib and brace combo. If you're riding in summertime, you can get summer bibs that have slightly thinner material on the sides, which is supposed to help you breathe a bit better. But again, that's baloney. I mean, it's not. The material that all these are made out of, unless it's fleece lined, is incredibly thin, and you might get a little bit hotter. Just deal with it and get on with it. But there you go, summer bibs, you pay extra and get a bit less. The chamois, this is the most important part. You want to have a nice, comfortable chamois, and at the same time, some people get cycling shorts or saddles, and they're whinging to me, oh, I'm getting saddle sores here, I'm getting saddle sores there. Not a nice thing, I know, but everything in the cycling body is, you have to give it an opportunity to adapt. Saddle sores is going to be part of life. You just got to get on with it and deal with the pain. They will go away eventually. And if you're new to cycling and you think that your butt hurts from sitting on the bike seat for extended rides, it will hurt. It's not an easy sport, but just remember, the more I ride, the more my body's going to adapt to this position, and it's going to be less painful. But get a nice soft chamois. Again, there's all kinds of nerdy things that companies will try and sell you as far as the chamois are concerned, but just get a nice, good covering chamois, especially if you're a well-endowed male. You want to have that proper coverage across the chamois, and it's going to make your ride a bit more comfortable. But I hope that kind of wraps up the lower half of cycling clothing. Like I said, it is an absolute baloney minefield. So bear with me. Next time we'll go over the top half and even the noggin, which is another important and crucial part of your cycling and off-bike life.